Hey, good morning, Mizzou fans. Gabe DeArmond here, PM in the AM. The last day of June 2026, halfway through the year. Starting tomorrow, we're almost in football month. Before we get to today's topic, you guys know the drill by now. I'm going to ask you to reach out to Jordan Black at beyondthew2.com. Jordan was a teacher for 10 years, got out of it. He's in the franchise business now. He wants to help you get into it as well. If you think that's something that appeals to you, if you just want to hear what Jordan has to say, no obligations, reach out at Jordan at beyondthew2.com. You can hit his personal cell phone at 314-580-2043. That's how much he wants to talk to you. He's letting me blab his personal cell phone number on YouTube. If you hit him up, he's going to give you the best options for a franchise that will work for you. You can also scan that QR code I just put up in the top corner of the screen. All right, so on Monday afternoon, Mizzou football released a video of former Mizzou assistant Andy Reid at Chiefs OTAs informing Nick Bolton that he was going to be a member of the 2026 Mizzou Athletics Hall of Fame class. Nick, the first of, I think, 5 people who are going to be introduced or inducted this year. Nick is the first one we know. So I thought, hey, good day to kind of go back and look at Nick Bolton's journey to where he is today, which is, 3-time Super Bowl champion, huge NFL contract and all of that in Kansas City. Nick Bolton grew up in Frisco, Texas. He was a linebacker, but before we get to Nick Bolton, the high school football player, like he wasn't probably the standout athlete in his family. His dad played football at Louisiana Tech, but his sister, Jasmine Dunn, was a softball player, a basketball player. Nick referred to her in an interview I saw as his second mom because his parents were working and all that, and his older sister Jasmine was the one who kind of took care of the kids at home. Made sure that they were on the straight and narrow and all that. And there was thoughts at the time that Jasmine Dunn could be a Division I athlete. Well, when Nick was 9 years old, Jasmine was diagnosed with a brain tumor. Went through an 11-hour surgery. They had trouble waking her up after the surgery, but she did wake up. The surgery saved her life, but she had some scars and clearly kind of a changed person after that. And if you read some stories, watch some interviews, like at that point, Nick said he didn't really understand what cancer was and all that. He just saw his sister was one way one day, and the next day she was different. And Nick's mom at the time, or later, said that there was this kind of idea from Nick that he was going to go on and do what his sister was no longer able to do. His dad, Carlos, said he spent those next years playing football for her. And so then everything, I don't want to say everything was fine, but like they knew Jasmine was going to survive. This was, this didn't kill her. And the family's moving forward and all that. And then Nick's mom diagnosed with breast cancer. And he said that one, like, he's old enough to understand it, right? To know what it is. He's seen his sister go through cancer. He kind of knows what this means. And so he said this one hit him even harder. So he's dealing with this, as a high school kid. And there was an interview with Nick leading up to the NFL draft before he got picked. And the interviewer asked him if he felt, pressure to perform, to do this for all these people who couldn't do it and helped him get him here and all that. And Nick says, no, pressure is my mom and my sister and what they went through. He said, this is leisure. This is just what I hope to get paid to do. This is football, right? It's a game. And Nick was very good at that game. His freshman year in high school, he is the newcomer of the year at Lone Star High School. As a sophomore, he is the sophomore most valuable player. As a junior, he is the defensive most valuable player. So just taking steps, right? And this gets Nick recruiting attention, not crazy attention that you might expect from a guy putting up these numbers and doing these things in in a solid school in Texas high school football. But, he has offers, Missouri and Kansas and Utah and Houston, Colorado, and a host of mid majors. None of the powers, none of the, I think Mississippi State offered none of the traditional powerhouses, none of the big time Texas schools offer Nick Bolton. But all those schools offer, but it's the University of Washington that in July of 2017, Nick Bolton makes his commitment. Chris Peterson, the head coach at the time. Well, fast forward 3 months. On October 3rd, Nick posted on Twitter his decommitment from Washington. It just said, "I'm officially decommitting from Washington, opening up my recruitment," and that's pretty much it. There's no explanation. The belief at the time was that Nick was starting to listen to some other schools, including Texas A&M, was one heavily mentioned at the time. And look, whether Washington said "see ya" or Nick said "I want to look around," whatever, a couple stories kind of referred to just a misunderstanding between Nick Bolton and Chris Peterson's staff. Whatever, Nick Bolton opens things back up, and still, like, he's being recruited at a high level, but not the highest level. And the scouting report on 24/7 at the time, like, basically says he's a really good player, up a downhill player, can play sideline to sideline, can cover guys. Probably what's holding him back is his height. Like, that's probably the biggest knock on him, is he's just kind of maybe 6 feet tall. And, that's probably what's keeping people. Well, it didn't keep Missouri from pursuing him heavily. On February 2nd, Nick takes an official visit to Missouri. On February 5th, he commits. Then on February 7th, he signs with Mizzou. And I posted this on X yesterday after, and I've told this story before, after Nick committed, but so Kentrell Brothers had just wrapped up his college football career at Missouri. All Big 12 linebacker, like crazy, 140 tackles or something, drafted, I believe, was by the Minnesota Vikings. Like, really good linebacker, all SEC linebacker, not all Big 12, sorry. But really good linebacker. And it was during fall camp, would have been, 2018, Nick's true freshman season. Bolton's name just kind of had come up day after day of like, hey, this is a guy that coaches like. And so I was kind of not recording it, just after practice, briefly talking with Missouri head coach Barry Odom, and I said something about Bolton, and he said, "Gabe, if Nick Bolton is not better than Kentrell Brothers, then we have not done our jobs." And that was a big statement. Kentrell Brothers is a guy that, like, I don't think he really gets the due maybe he should get, because he didn't play on good Missouri teams, but like he put up numbers in college. He was a kid that he was all over the field, and even though the defense certainly was not the strong point maybe of the Missouri football team. I mean, he had 2014 on the team that made the SEC title game. He had 122 tackles and 4 passes defended and 3 forced fumbles. And then 2015, obviously not as good a team, but 152 tackles, 12 tackles for a loss, 2 interceptions, 3 passes defended, a forced fumble, and a fumble recovery. So, like, saying a guy should absolutely be better than Kentrell Brothers, who had not played a game at that point. So, that's a statement, right? And so that told me, hey, you better look out for this kid. Well, 2018 season, Cale Garrett goes down with an injury midway through the season, and Nick Bolton was already playing. He played in all 13 games that year. And was a guy that already had burned the red shirt, was on special teams, was playing defense, all of that. But then he takes over as a starter midway through that season because Cale Garrett is hurt, and Nick ends his true freshman season in the Southeastern Conference. Played in 13 games, 22 tackles, had a sack. Like, good year, not like very good year for a true freshman, right? Maybe not like this year that makes you go, "Oh my goodness, we know what's coming." But for a true freshman, really good year. But that was the appetizer. 2019, week 2 against West Virginia. Nick Bolton, the linebacker, becomes the first Missouri player in 11 years to have 2 interceptions in a game. Had 2 in a 38-7 win over West Virginia. Returned one of them for a touchdown, and Bolton ends that 2019 season with 107 tackles, 7.5 for a loss, had a sack, had those 2 interceptions, 8 passes defended, just all around every down linebacker. And in 2020, before 2020, the COVID season hits, and there was a little bit of speculation at the time that, like, hey, Nick Bolton wouldn't have to play this year, right? He's going to be an NFL player at some point. Like, he could easily sit out, maintain a year, or just go into the draft next year. Was anybody that knew Nick Bolton knew that was not going to be a thing that he would do. As his sister said in an interview I watched, if he's got his mind on something, he's going to go get it. And Nick Bolton had his mind on, like, hey, this, I play football at Missouri, and then I'm going to play football in the NFL. So his junior year, true junior, 95 tackles, 8 for a loss, 2 sacks, 5 passes defended, had a fumble recovery. I think the standout moment, the one that everybody remembers from that season, is the goal line stand against LSU. LSU was the defending national champion. Obviously, they didn't turn out to be as good in 2020, but Missouri was a heavy underdog, and LSU gets the ball at the 1 yard line with 44 seconds left in the game, and touchdown's going to win the game. On 1st and goal, Nick Bolton redirects the ball carrier, combines with Martez Manuel on a tackle for no gain. 2nd and goal, Markel Lutz comes through, hits the runner in the backfield. Bolton and Manuel clean it up. 3rd down, 3rd and goal from the 1, 22 seconds to go. LSU comes out in a formation that Ryan Walters said Missouri hadn't seen on film. Like, Walters didn't recognize it. Well, Nick Bolton says after that game, I assume pre-snap that they were going to give Terrace Marshall the ball in some type of way, whether it was a pop pass, an out route, or maybe try to get him on a flip. I saw him fake inside, go back out, and I already knew automatically what it was. Nick Bolton knocks that pass down, and that, like, those people who've watched Nick Bolton play for 5-6 years now after he left college, like, that is what keeps him on the field. That is what separates him. He's not the fastest guy. We talked, he's not the biggest guy, but he is probably the smartest guy on every football field he's on. Steve Spagnuolo, the Chiefs defensive coordinator, has talked many times about, like, Nick just looks at a formation. He knows what's coming. He knows plays before they happen. There was a game against the Falcons a few years ago that the Chiefs had a huge 4th down stop. It was Nick Bolton making a tackle for a loss. And they said, like, he knew the play before they ran it. And that is what has separated Nick Bolton as a football player. So after that season in 2020, he does go pro, goes in the 2nd round to the Kansas City Chiefs, has won 3 Super Bowls, and I think had one replay call gone differently against the Philadelphia Eagles, Nick Bolton is a Super Bowl MVP. I mean, he had a touchdown in that Super Bowl, and almost had 2. But the second one was overturned on replay. If that one counts, I truly think Nick Bolton probably is a Super Bowl MVP. He and Coney Ealy are Missouri defensive players who have been like one play away from winning that award. Nick's got taken away on a reversal, on a replay reversal, and Coney Ealy lost his because his team lost the game. But 5 seasons as a pro, Nick Bolton has 612 total tackles. He has started the last, let me do some math. He started the last 70 games of his career, 5 career interceptions, 3 fumble recoveries, just a guy that, like, and there are times that, like, look, yeah, he has trouble covering an NFL receiver. Right. He's again, not the fastest guy, but Steve Spagnuolo will not take the guy off the field. Chiefs re-signed him to a huge contract a couple years ago, and guy that if you watch the video that the Chiefs posted, and Nick doesn't talk a lot, right? He's pretty quiet. He talks really fast. So like he gets a lot of words in. It just doesn't take him very long. But in that video, Andy Reid tells him, "Hey, you're going to have to make a speech at some point. Might as well get up here and make one now." And what Nick says is, the state of Missouri, the city of Columbia, the city of Kansas City, like this has become home to him. He has been here now. He's played 8 years of football in the state of Missouri, which is, about as much as probably he played in Texas. And so this has kind of become his second home. And he is a guy, I think probably the best Mizzou alum to play for the Chiefs. The other guy in that discussion, I'm sure you guys are going to point out if I'm wrong here, if I'm missing one, but the other guy in that discussion would probably be Henry Marshall, who was a wide receiver when I was growing up. But because the Chiefs have won so much with Nick Bolton in the middle of that defense, I think he's there, probably atop that list, and I think has a chance, to put himself in the conversation down the road of like that upper echelon of Mizzou players in the NFL. He's not quite there yet. I mean, getting to that, like, Andy Russell, Roger Warely, Kellen Winslow tier, like that's pretty tough. I don't think it's impossible that Bolton gets there. But even if it's that next cut, like I think he's probably already a top 10 NFL player from the University of Missouri. And I think certainly has a chance by the time his career is over, because I remember, I mean, he left after 3 years of college, didn't redshirt. Like Nick Bolton is only like 26 years old right now, entering his 6th NFL season, 26, 27, somewhere around there. So I think has a chance to end up as, one of the best handful of NFL players ever to come out of Mizzou, and will be inducted to the Mizzou Athletics Hall of Fame. That generally takes place somewhere in the fall. So, look, Nick's a little busy in the fall. Not sure he'll be able to make it back. Would be cool if Mizzou manages to get that, like on the Chiefs bye week, and Nick can come back and maybe bang the drum and get the honor in person, and we can catch up with them and all that. We'll see. Don't know if that will happen. Don't know the exact induction date. But it's usually fall, winter, something like that. So might be kind of tough for Nick to make his way back to Columbia for that, but certainly a big honor and a guy that fully deserves it. I think because never a guy that was necessarily predicted at any level to be as good as he's been, but has gotten there through, hard work, sheer force of will, and his smarts and work ethic on the football field. So thought it'd be a good day to kind of talk about a guy who I got the chance to cover and watch, and now certainly cheer for on Sundays. And I think one of the guys that Mizzou fans here in the last few years certainly regard as, one of the guys that, like, Nick wasn't here when Eli Drinkwitz got the program up and going where he wanted it to. But he was one of the guys that allowed it to happen. Drink's first year, Nick Bolton sticks around his third season and team leader, and had that LSU game and all that. So kind of set the foundation, I think, for what would come in the future. So appreciate you hanging out here. Like, comment, share, subscribe. If you're listening on the podcast, leave us a nice review. Say a good thing. Always say good things about Jordan Black and Beyond W2.com. Your opportunity to get into the franchise world, be your own boss, set your own schedule, run your own business, to be quite honest. If you want to know more about that, you scan that QR code up over my shoulder. Reach out to Jordan at BeyondAW2.com. That is the number 2, Jordan at BeyondAW2.com, or by phone at 314-580-2043. Tell Jordan we sent you, set up an appointment with him, and best of luck to all involved. Thanks for hanging out. Talk to you tomorrow.